Hello everybody, John here, and today on To The Garage we're running the first of a series of videos that we're going to nominally call Jaguar Lifestyle. Now this is something I've been asked on many occasions to talk more about and to show a few features on. Aside from the cars and the maintaining and driving the cars themselves, what is it that we do as Jaguar lovers that's distinctly us? What are the other things we can discuss and enjoy? And the sorts of things that come to mind are the clothing that we wear, the places that we go, the accessories that we enjoy adding to our lives that mark us out, I guess, as Jaguar fans in some way or other. This first edition is going to look at luggage. But before we get into that, let's have a little look at the calendar, because it's a new year. And if you've got your 2022 To The Garage calendar, you already know that the car of the month is Mike Bainbridge's beautiful, beautiful XKR. It's a 2004 called Black Panther. And the picture that he took for the photo competition is at Highcliffe Castle in the UK. Beautiful backdrop for a beautiful car. So Mike's is one of the later X100 models, as defined by no rubbing strips along the sides, has the sill extensions, has the flush fitting fog lights, and has a sort of vestigial line here moulded into the front bumper to match up with the sill extensions. So if we're going to start talking about Jaguar Lifestyle, we need to start to define what it is that makes Jaguar special, and maybe that therefore informs why those of us who love the cars also love certain other things. So I love Jaguars. I particularly love the X100. Some of that is born of the fact that I was of the right sort of age to see this launched and go, oh my God, yeah, if only I could have a car like that. I also adore the heritage of Jaguar, the motor racing legends, the pioneering engineering, the beautiful, beautiful shapes, the film style looks of these things. Everything about them appeals to me, and this model particularly. I also had a connection with the engineering creation of this car. Very slight, it has to be said. In my early life, I worked for a company called GKN, and myself and some of my colleagues did and early prototypes and productions for parts that were going to end up in the XK8's engine. Things like camshaft sprockets, the sintered fracture split conrods, hollow camshafts. And though my connection is slight and fleeting, it's always made me feel a linkage to this car and this engine. And then I went on to become a consultant in the world of engineering and particularly car manufacturing. And I worked in a lot of the Jaguar plants and saw this car and its successor being built, and the XJs of the X350 and X351 eras being built. So I have this affinity with them. That kind of explains my connection. But what is it generally that draws people to Jaguar as a mark? What sets them aside as a subgroup of the motoring enthusiasts? When I was a lot younger, I think most people would have associated the Jaguar driver as an older driver. I think the XK8 started to break that mould, but it was always there. And that was kind of inevitable in that these were cars that every man could aspire to, but realistically, the majority of owners were going to be well into their careers to have accumulated a little bit of disposable cash because they were expensive compared to transport. But they were always cheap compared to exotica. They fit in that middle ground where nothing else really does. I guess I could apply Alfa Romeo to the same area. Slightly different demographic, slightly different appeal. But again, it's on the edge of exotica. It's certainly niche in terms of numbers. You had to live with a few foibles to own it, but you wanted it because it was actually drop dead gorgeous and it had a price tag that was attainable. So Jags are probably not going to appeal to the same folk who can easily afford an Aston Martin. And that's purely because if you can afford an Aston Martin, the badge and the name probably holds some cachet that draws you to it because other people will know how great it is. Jaguar, that probably can't be said to the same extent. And this is where I believe we start to understand what it is to be a Jag owner and what the Jag lifestyle is all about. You see, I've reached a stage in my life where if I really did want an Aston Martin, I could go get one. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a wealthy man, but it's ultimately very doable. But mostly, I don't want one. I admire them. I'd love to have one if somebody gave one to me, but I'm not going to go out my way to get one. I quite like the thought of something like a Lamborghini because it's so outrageous and special. But I know it's just a whim. I know that I'm never going to go shopping for one. Could I buy a Lamborghini? Probably yes, if I really wanted one. But I don't really want one enough. And if I did, it'd probably be an old car. It'd be an Espada. What is it that means I'm drawn to these at all prices and all ages? Jags. Whereas I wouldn't do the same for a Lamborghini or an Aston Martin. And I think the first thing is, for me, this is deeper than just fashion. I think a Lamborghini is, look at me, it's bling, it's a fine car, but it has that shoutiness about it. Aston Martin has that in a slightly more classy way. But equally, it does say, I made it, look at me. I think Jaguars do that same thing, but it's so much more subtle. I don't think the Jag brags. For me, that's as close to a succinct statement as I can make about what it is to be a Jag lover. I don't think this car brags. I'm incredibly proud of it. I might brag about it. But owning it doesn't make me somebody that people go, oh my God, he's got an XK8. It's never going to happen. I have loads of conversations where people come over to me when I park up or put fuel in. And I love it. And they're always wonderful conversations. It attracts the right sort of attention. Other people who've got one, had one, want one. Or people who just admire the look and say, that's a really beautiful car. What is it? And that's kind of the biggest compliment of the lot. Because if something says Lamborghini down the side, a lot of people are programmed to know that they should want it. Or if it says Rolls Royce, oh, I know that that is a very expensive and wonderful car. It must be great. There's an awful lot of people out there who aren't that interested in cars would look at this car and many other Jaguars, XK120s, E-types obviously, and go, that's a gorgeous looking car. People just like them. So they don't brag. They're just great. Jaguar styling and engineering, in the main, works well over time. There are very few examples of faddish Jaguar cars. Practically all of them were designed to last, designed to transcend times and fashions. The E-Type is a great example, and one that non-car lovers can get on board with. It was a beautiful shape when it was designed. It hasn't aged and gone out of fashion at any point in its lifestyle. The XK8, the X100 particularly, I think was beautiful at launch. It became old after about 10 years, and people started to think, oh, that's the old shape, because a new car came out, the X150. But as soon as people had got used to the X150, another beautiful car, by the way, the X100 again was just achingly beautiful. It's the steel one. So I think what it is to be a Jaguar fan is you like understated brilliance, understated beauty. You like things that stand the test of time in terms of fashion, let's say. And you like materials and build that endure. You're not of the throwaway society. I think that's part of our love for Jaguar's interiors. You know, the wood and the leather and the fact that the wood's real, the facings at least on the seats are real. A lot of the superstructure of the dashboards is curved steel coated in leather and padding. The dashboard is on aluminium. There's a longevity to it. If you're a fan of the mechanics and the engineering on Jags, you know how robust it all is. The Jaguar IRS system, it's so heavy, but so wonderful, and still gives great ride compared to today. There's a longevity to it. I think the AJ V8 engine was the fourth, I could be wrong on that, fourth new engine that Jaguar had ever created, because they're all tour de forces. They're all fantastic. They stand the test of time. And that same engine, its lineage can be drawn back to this car and then drawn forward to be found in Aston Martin Vantages of very recent years, to Range Rover, Land Rover and Jaguar products being produced right now. Yes, highly modified, but that's the same as the straight six, the XK engine. Highly modified over its time, but fundamentally brilliant from the start, and it lasts. It's that enduring quality, I think, that makes Jaguars Jaguars, that appeals to certain people. And if you're into fast fashion, they probably don't appeal. In terms of the cars being produced now, I've got good feeling about most of them. I have a mixed opinion on a couple. And this is not derogatory, because I think they're all brilliant. And I think the one that I've got reservations about is, controversially, the I-Pace. I think Jaguar may have gone down the route of styling to match the fashion of the point in time. It's significantly different to most other cars, so it's still got something that will last. The cab forward look. But the overly angular car with the use of black plastics, I feel they were trying to show people, yeah, we can do a car that looks like an electric car too, which I think is a shame. And I'm be very, very interested to see what the next evolution of Jaguar cars looks like, because the rumours are that the new boss is driving them back to that route of stop trying to make a volume car. Stop trying to make a car that wows now. Make a car that is how we want it to be, how we think it should be. Style it for the future. So it'll be very interesting to see what's going on. So we like enduring fashion. We like sustainable, lasting materials. We like the no brag, but class and quality. Let's have a little bit look at Luggage. As eminently usable, classy motors, many of us will do big tours, big epic drives, or daily our Jaguars. And to that end, it's quite important to have some luggage that goes with them. For a lot of sports and GTs, bespoke is the only way to go. If you've got a Porsche 911, for instance, very often you want tailored bags because of the unusual shape of the front boot or frunk or whatever the appropriate term is for them. Now, there is bespoke luggage available for the XK8, XKR, X100 series. There was some accessory luggage available at launch. Now, it doesn't appeal to me, but I'm sure it will be of good quality. And it's a sort of mixture of stiff cotton canvas with leather trim. And for me, it's a little bit garish, but it is Jaguar branded, and a lot of people will really admire the fact that it was commissioned with the car in mind. Another way is to go for the aftermarket bespoke luggage creators, and there are plenty of those out there who will make you luggage exactly as you want it. We've got an example here, and they can shape the luggage and make sets of luggage that's going to fit with your car. But it has to be said, the X100 has one of the most generous boots of any sporting car anyway. So space and therefore maybe unusual shapes are not super critical. Now, I use my car a lot, and my other car is my XJ, which I also use an awful lot for long distance trips, stopping away. So I use luggage all the time. What do I use? Now, I'm going to say as a caveat, I'm not going to put links to any of the things I'm going to show you in this show, because I am talking at the edges of my expertise and authority to comment, let's say. I'm no fashion guru, and if you want that, please tune into another channel. But people are interested in what sorts of things do you, John, use, and what do other people use? So I'm more than happy to talk about those things, but I'm not going to put links to the luggage I use, etc., because that's going to make you feel like I'm trying to sell you something. Not. So here we are. I've placed my luggage in the boot of my XK8. It has to be said, it's not loaded up at the moment. I've got to do that this evening, and then it's going in the boot of my XJ. But this is what I use. And I think it does talk to that discussion we had about what it is to be a Jaguar person. What have I gone for? I've gone for quality leather products. They're all actually from different brand names. The brand names are not Gucci and written all over them 6 inches high, because that's not me. What they are is great to use, great to look at. I know how much they cost, which was not insignificant, but I'm not particularly worried about impressing anybody else. But I must admit, I'm proud of them. So, what have I got? I've got 3 pieces of luggage that come in and out, plus a boot bag. Boot bags, I've got another one on my bench. Let me grab it for you. Are quite inexpensive items. This particular design is not available. I checked because I know a lot of people will like it because of that. Had this one probably 10 years. This one, maybe only a couple of years, slightly smaller. But it's not Jaguar logoed. And boot bags are essentially little stowing devices that have Velcro on their base and back, and it's quite an aggressive Velcro that mates well with automotive trim. So it will stick to carpet and trim in boots, and it doesn't move around and slide around. And they give you a great place to stash bits of camera, tools, or your cleaning materials if you carry a rag and some detail around with you, or some windscreen cleaner. A way of keeping them out of the way of everything else, nice and neat and tidy. And because, oops, they have this neat attachment system, you can sit them up in the corners of your boot or trunk, and they won't move around, and you're using space that otherwise is not well used. So I've always got a boot tidy or boot bag in there somewhere. And mine does have rags, a few tools, torch, bits and pieces like that. Then I've got my 3 pieces of luggage and a nice blanket that is genuinely wool, came from a mill in Yorkshire, and would actually do some good if I was in need of sleeping in the car, which has happened. I've got my work bag, as I call it, which is a leather bag. This one is a Roland, if you know your leather brands. And it's a beautiful thing to use. I can store my computer and my documents and everything else, and coincidentally, my leather-bound notebook to the garage on, which I write my thoughts whenever I get them. And that is a great thing to stuff all sorts of things inside. I've had that bag for, I'm going to guess, 6 or 7 years, and it has been everywhere with me every work day, and still looks as good as the day I bought it. So great investment. Something like that in real leather from a brand that is decent without being Gucci is going to cost you about the £150 mark, I would suggest. But it's going to last a long time. It's always going to look good. And as it wears, it kind of looks better. When they're brand new, leather goods can look a little bit trying too hard, from my opinion. So I like that sort of bag. It's a messenger bag, technically. I've got a hold all. It's a sports bag, if you like. Again, real leather. And this one's a Cranford. And it's just a good size if you want to chuck in your bits and pieces for doing sports, hence sports bag, hold all. It's great for a couple of nights away. I can get in most of the things that I want to get in here, and very easy to carry around. It's also sort of carry-on sized if you need to travel using aircraft. And what I like about this bag particularly, and I've just put a couple of blankets in it to stop it collapsing because I've not loaded it yet to go away. So if I just take those out of the way for you now, oops, there we go, is unlike your average sports bag, it's gusseted and opens fully so that you can drop folded things into it and then close it over. So it's got a lot of great function about it. It's got proper brass fittings on it that you can use to secure a strap and carry it over your shoulder if you've got to carry it any distance. I've got this crazy ass D, because my surname is D, tag on here, which is just me. It makes it nice and easy to pull across. But again, that, I bought that 15 years ago. And it's got scuffs and marks on it. And I kind of think it looks the better for it. It looks like it's lived. But it's still beautiful. It still works exactly as it should. And I love it. In the back here, that one, I would guess if you wanted to buy something like that today in real leather from a similar brand, it would cost you somewhere between 150 and 200, maybe a little more. Then move on to the big boy. And this is the one I use most of the time, because even if I'm going away for a week and I'm carrying a few other bits and pieces, I can always put them in here. This is big enough. If I'm going to be away for longer than a week, then all the bags are going to be used. But 1 day, 2 day, a week, everything I could possibly want. I can even get food in these. So this one is kind of like a Gladstone bag. It's not a Gladstone bag. A Gladstone bag is kind of like a old doctor's style bag with a full frame that opens at the top. What makes this one interesting and Gladstone-ish is it has solid bars running through the top with these brass ferrules on that the handles lift. So it's incredibly strong, and it's got a strap on the side. That means you can hook it over trolleys, you can stuff your coat or jumper in there and it won't fall off. Nice brass zips all round. Everything in it is lined in purple as well, which I particularly like. Nobody gets to see it but me, but I really enjoy it. The brand name is Prime Hide, which I believe is just an agent that buys products in from various suppliers, so I wouldn't read too much into that. So this is my Gladstone style bag. It has these pops on the gusset, both ends, that unflap it. That means I can always stand a rather large bottle or flask in there if I need to, which is really nice and very useful. It's got great zips that you know are going to last forever. And again, I've just put a couple of blankets in here just to stop it collapsing while I was showing you. Look at that beautiful lining again. You can see, because it's got these two rods, it opens squarely. So again, you can drop things in folded to the bottom and it's going to do a great job. And it's got a place for my phone and my wallet, which means when I leave it in a hotel room and I want to just keep everything together, I don't like loading drawers. I keep things in my bags. Everything can live in its own little home near zipped compartments. And I've also got, not really the intention to show this, I forgot it was in there. This is my wash bag, and again, you can see the theme carrying on, but again, another brand. This is an Atwood. Real leather wash bag, magnetic fitting on there to stuff things in. Dread to think what's in here, so here we go. But what I wanted to show you is it's got a brass hook on here, so I can hang it on the backs of doors and use it wherever I want, whenever I want. And it's just a beautiful thing to use. It's not going to wear out. It's only going to look nicer and nicer the more I use it. So that's why I have it. So the big bag, something like this, in the sort of semi-Gladstone style with brass fittings, real leather, soft, from a decent manufacturer is going to cost you £250, maybe £300. Before again you go into the more bling brands. And bling brands, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those, but they don't appeal to me. Why would I want somebody else's huge, great logos on that unless it was to impress somebody else? I like my bags for what they are and really enjoy using them. So that's the way I've approached luggage for my XK8. I did look at having bespoke luggage made for it. For the novelty, I guess, more than anything else. But the reality, you're only going to use a few of them. The shapes are a little bit ugly because they're trying to maximize space. And I just think when I'm carrying them around, if I got this bag, it looks casually classy. It's not trying hard. It's that enduring nature. And I think we're going to cover this a few times when we start looking at things like clothing and coats and winter wear for driving your Jag. I think what links together all the great stuff for the Jag lifestyle is it lasts, it endures, it's never going to go out of fashion. So, hopefully you found that slightly interesting. If you've got any questions or you'd like to share what you're using, luggage, what you use, if you'd like to share your bespoke luggage, because as I say, it does fascinate me. I'd love to get some images from some of you of what you use, how you use it, and what your thoughts are on what it is to be a Jag person. How does this link in with the Jag lifestyle? Well, there we are, the first of our Jag lifestyle videos. As previously said, I'm no authority on fashion or any of the things we're talking about here. I'm giving you my opinion and sharing it as a Jag lover so that you guys can comment, get involved, and we can get some great discussion going on this sort of stuff. Next time, because of the weather outside, I maybe won't be wearing my tatties for tidying up and playing with the car. Maybe I'll share with you what I use as my winter wear when I'm driving my Jags. If you haven't already got one, the 2022 X100 calendars are still available via our website. There's a tab at the top of that to go to our store, and we can still get those out to you. When they're gone, they're gone. They are a limited edition. So snap up one of those really quick if you want one. And if you've not already checked it out, or you've only checked it out maybe 12 months ago, then go to the tab that says XK8 Bible and other useful stuff, and you'll find all sorts of leaflets, brochures, materials, manuals that you'll find useful if you're a Jag fan, but X100 particularly. And amongst that is Gary Van Remortel's Jaguar XK8 Bible. Love you all. See you soon. If you're enjoying our channel, then don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. And please give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and you can share the videos. And below the video is always the area where you can comment and get involved with the chat.